Have you ever stopped to think about what holds everything together? And I don't mean gravity, keeping planets in their orbits. I mean what holds the actual heart of matter together. Today, we're diving deep into the universe's strongest glue.
Okay, so picture an atom's nucleus. You've got all these protons, right? All positively charged. And they are packed into a space so small it's almost impossible to imagine. Now, basic physics 101. Things with the same charge should repel each other, violently. So the big question is, why doesn't the entire nucleus just explode?
Well, the answer is a force that is so unbelievably powerful, it just completely overpowers that push to fly apart. It's called the strong nuclear force, sometimes known as the chromodynamic force. And yeah, it is, by far, the most powerful of the four fundamental forces we know of.
So, to really get a handle on this, here's our game plan. We're going to go deeper than quarks, learn about the very strange rules of color. Then we'll watch the incredible gluon exchange in action. And finally, we'll see how that whole process connects the nucleus together.
All right, let's dive in. We are officially talking about the chromodynamic force. Now, that name actually gives us a massive clue. It comes from the Greek word chroma, which means color. But, and this is important, it's not color in the way you and I see it. It's something way stranger. To really understand this force, we have to peel back another layer of reality. We all know protons and neutrons are made of quarks. But for this explainer, we're going to dig into a really interesting speculative model that asks, what if quarks themselves are made of something even more basic?
And that something has a name, a rishon. You can kind of think of it like a subatomic particle. If a proton is a building and quarks are the bricks, then rishons are like the sand and clay that make up the bricks. In this model, these are the true, fundamental, can't be broken down any further particles of the universe.
Okay, so let's ground ourselves in something familiar. We all know a proton is made of 3 quarks, right? 2 up quarks and 1 down quark. Standard stuff. But this model pushes us to ask the next logical question. What are those quarks made of?
And here are the recipes, straight from the model. An up quark is made of 3 rishons called V, T, and T'. A down quark is almost the same, V, T, and an anti-V'. Now, don't worry about memorizing the names V and T and all that. The really important thing to grasp here is just that quarks are composites, and it's these specific combinations of rishons that give them their unique character.
So, this brings us to the absolute heart of the strong force, a property that physicists, with a bit of a sense of humor, decided to call color charge. Again, let me just say, this has absolutely nothing to do with visual color, but you'll see the analogy is actually perfect.
Okay, so here's the one rule you have to remember. Just like particles can have an electric charge, quarks and rishons have this color charge. And the absolute, non-negotiable law of the universe is that any stable particle you can actually see, like a proton, must be color neutral, or, to use the analogy, white. This just means the colors of all its quarks have to perfectly cancel each other out.
Now, just a quick heads up, the specific model we're looking at here uses a slightly different color system than you might see in a standard physics textbook. Instead of red, green, and blue, it's working with red, yellow, and blue. It doesn't change the principle, but just keep it in mind as we move forward. Okay, so this brings up a big question. If quarks are made of these rishons, where does their color come from? How do you get a blue quark or a red one? Well, the model has a really elegant rule for this. The V and T rishons, they're basically colorless. It's only that third prime piece, the T' or the anti-V', that carries the color. So that one component dictates the entire color of the quark. Simple as that.
All right, now for the main event. How in the world do these quarks keep that perfect white balance while being stuck together so tightly? Well, it's not a static thing at all. It's actually a super frantic, non-stop dance called the gluon exchange. The particles that carry the strong force are called gluons, and they literally are the glue. But here's how they work. A quark will spit out a gluon, and in that exact instant, its own color changes. That gluon then zips over to another quark, which absorbs it, and bam, its color changes too. It's a constant trade. Let's actually watch this happen inside one proton. So, in step 1, look at that up quark that has a blue color charge. It emits a very specific gluon. And in doing so, it instantly transforms into a red up quark. The quark itself is the same, but its color identity has totally flipped. And the dance doesn't stop. Now, the second up quark, which was yellow, takes its turn. It fires off its own gluon, and its color flips to blue. You see what's happening?
It's this high-speed, constant balancing act to make sure the whole proton always stays white. And finally, to complete the cycle, the down quark gets in on the action. It was red, it emits its gluon, and it turns yellow. This entire three-step process happens in a fraction of a second, so small we can't even comprehend it. It's this constant, chaotic swapping of color that generates the incredible force holding that proton together.
Okay, so that's the wild party happening inside a single proton. But that doesn't explain how it sticks to a neutron next door, right? Well, this is where you get a ripple effect.
It turns out, all of that furious gluon swapping inside the proton has a side effect. It causes the proton to create and spit out a whole new temporary particle called a pion. And this little pion acts like a messenger, carrying the strong force outside of the proton itself. And here we see that final step play out. The proton on the left, fresh from its internal color dance, emits that pion. The pion then travels the ridiculously short distance to the neutron on the right and gets absorbed. That absorption kicks off a whole new color transformation inside the neutron, and that's what locks the two of them together. It's an incredibly powerful bond.
So the takeaway here is that this is not a one-and-done deal. It is a continuous, rapid-fire exchange of these pions between protons and neutrons, all of it driven by that crazy gluon dance inside them. This constant flux creates a binding energy that's more than 100 times stronger than the electrical force that's trying to blow the nucleus apart.
And just when you think you've kinda got it, the source material hits us with this absolutely mind-bending idea from the physicist Zenchikowski. He suggests that the very same rules that make it impossible for us to ever see a single quark by itself might be fundamentally tied to why our universe has 3 dimensions of space.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The idea that building these color-neutral particles, like protons, isn't just creating matter. It might actually be laying down the fundamental rules for the 3D space we all live in. It really makes you wonder, what if the universe's strongest glue isn't just holding the actors together, but building the entire stage?